I'm here today at Disney Springs in Orlando. Something a little different. So I want to know if you're here, am I in the right spot? Because I'm doing things differently. Hey, I'm Marnie Ginsberg from Reading Simplified, where we streamline classroom reading instruction and accelerate students' reading achievement. And we're going to be talking about how the alphabet has done us wrong. And I bet you're wondering what I'm talking about. So I want to share why this is not the real foundation for teaching kids to read, whether they're 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. But the alphabet is causing us trouble. And so I'm going to talk about why there's trouble and what's the real solution. Okay, I got 2 things that I want you to consider about the alphabet that mess up early readers. And we can change this. If we are parents or teachers with young kids, we can do things differently and it will make life easier for our younger readers. Okay, what's wrong with the alphabet? Number 1. First of all, letter names, when we teach the alphabet and focus on letter names, they confuse readers. They don't show how our written language actually works. So if you are working with a young kiddo, maybe a 3-year-old, and they point to some letters and they say, "What's this?" And we say, C-A-T. And they look at it and they say, C-A-T, cat. Why is it cat, Mom? Or why is it cat, teacher? They have no idea, because C-A-T is the word C-A-T. It's not the word at, right? So when we start with the alphabet, as in letter names, we are confusing the way the code works. The code doesn't work that way. What is actually the way the code works? It's a code for sounds. Our written language is a code for sounds. So if we teach our youngest kiddos at, then when they see those symbols on a page, it will make more sense. So that's the number 1 way in which the alphabet has done us wrong. We need to change our routines. I believe as a culture, not all cultures start with letter names. Many cultures, particularly those that have a more simple decoding structure, they start with sounds when they teach their little kids. And then when their kids learn to read, it's a lot easier. The foundation of our language is not the 26 visual forms that we use, but it's actually the 44-ish sounds that we use. So when I say the word sound, I'm actually saying these sounds, ow, d, right? Those 4 sounds. The ow is not represented by one letter, and many of our sounds are not represented by one letter. So the letters themselves aren't really the foundation. The foundation is the sounds, and that's actually the avenue in which our kids will figure out the code. So let's think about the letter H. If we start at the beginning in preschool, or with our 2, 3, 4-year-olds at home, and we focus on the letter H, we might teach them the h sound. We think we're doing great because we're teaching them with a h sound. But actually, H is part of a couple of other letter sounds, right? We got the SH in show, and the CH in check, and the TH in this, and the TH, the other TH, like with, and WH in what? So H is not the foundation. Really, the foundation are those sounds that I just said. Ch, sh. So let's start with sounds instead. And not only will we avoid the confusion of like teaching the letter S with the sound, trying to trigger the sound S at the beginning of the letter name, we'll avoid that, but we'll also not get stuck in just thinking about the code as 26 letters, because the code is actually 44 sounds, and many of those sounds have multiple spelling representations. So those are the 2 things I want to point out tonight about the problems of the alphabet. When we focus on letter names first, we confuse kids about the code, and also it's really not the foundation of our language, because our language is founded on sounds. So what are we supposed to do instead? I recommend, instead of starting kids off with the alphabet, that we start them off with the alphabetic principle. That means the concept that our written language is a code for sounds. So when a kid sees the word sat, they get that the sounds that they hear, sat, are connected with those symbols. That is the concept that those kiddos are getting. That's the alphabetic principle. I think that should be the foundation of what we do as parents, guardians, and teachers. We show kids how the code works. I'm going to show you a simple activity to do with that, but you don't even have to do a formal activity. The first way that this can start is just when you're reading books with kids, shared reading, mom and dad reading with a child, the teacher reading from a shared book with the whole class. Every now and then point your finger at the word and slow it down and say the sounds as you do it. So brown bear, what do you see? And you do that every now and then. It's not the main thing you're going to be doing. Obviously you want to enjoy the book and get meaning out of the book, but every now and then you can tune those kids in to this concept that, oh, those squiggly black things on the page, they relate to sounds that I hear in words. And they may not even know what the specific letter sounds are yet. And I've got a story to tell you about that. But they will get the concept, the idea, oh, that our written language is code for sound. So I need to figure out what sounds I hear and how it maps onto those funny little squiggles on the page. So let me tell you a story about our oldest daughter. This is neat to me, you know, I'm a mom, and I remember back when she was about 2. Young as could be. Now she's about to graduate from high school, so it was a while ago, but I was a young mother, and I was also in a doctoral program learning about language and literacy and getting all these ideas about, oh my gosh, the brain is so, you know, everything has to be developed in the brain the first few years of life, and I was giving her a lot of stimulation. Anyway, I did the same thing I was just talking about with you, like when I would read brown bear, what do you see? I got to words every now and then like see, and I would go see, and she started to pick that up. So I remember one day, literally when she was 2, she pointed in a restaurant or some store, she pointed to the exit sign and she said, go out. Or maybe it was like leave. I don't remember what she said. It was the wrong word. She was not a reader, but what did she have at age 2? Because her mom was a crazy woman in a doctoral program. She had the alphabetic principle. And so she never went to a place of getting stuck with how our code works. It was easy for her from the beginning. And then she, you know, pretty quickly picked up phonemic awareness, the perception of individual sounds and words. So she read early. And so I think the window was that alphabetic principle. And it was very casually taught here and there to her. And this is not just something that I've done with one kid. Actually, some reading researchers have done tests with preschool kids, and when they do storybook reading and they engage kids in storybook as they should, interactively with the purpose of being comprehension, if they also every now and then drag their finger along the print and exaggerate and elongate the sounds, the kids get a better understanding about how print works. So let's dump the alphabet and consider the foundation of our language for teaching reading anyway. Really, the alphabetic principle and the 44 sounds of our language. If we do that, it will really turn our paradigm on its head, and we'll find out that kids can learn to read a lot more quickly. We recommend when kids are ready, play the game Build It. Let's start kids in real words, and they have squares like this, and we ask them, we're gonna build the word sat. What do you see at the beginning, which sound do you hear at the beginning of sat? And we drag our finger along the bottom and we elongate the sounds, and then they slowly pick apart the word by hearing it and attaching it to symbols. So, they're gonna pull down the S and say S, and then they'll identify the next sound as ah, and they'll pull that down, and then they'll identify the last sound as t, and they'll pull that down. We call this Build It, and it is a great way to introduce the concept of the alphabetic principle, but at the same time you can introduce the actual letter sounds themselves. You don't have to wait to teach all of these things in isolation. You could teach them in the context of real words. You don't have to do this for very long. It's just an introductory activity. Give kids the concept of the alphabetic principle, teach them some letter sounds, and they're off to the races. You can move on to more advanced activities like our most popular one, Switch It.